Beat it up like.
Yo, what's up? Welcome back. Today I'll be reacting to The Most Beautiful Life Goes On, a story of BTS. Y'all have been telling me to watch this video for the past couple days, just so I could learn more about BTS and get hip with the crowd. As I don't know why I just made a boomer reference. Get hip. Oh my god. Anyways, let's get into it. I'm very excited. I just reacted to BTS for the first time like 4 days ago, so I'm still relatively new and I'm just ready to familiarize myself because apparently I have been living under a rock. And I talked to my little brother about this yesterday. I was like, bro, like what's going on with this BTS thing? I've been hearing about it for the past year, seeing references to it on Twitter, and also like people have just been talking about it, but what's the big attraction? And he was like, yeah, bro, they're pretty big. Like everybody in my high school, like they're big into BTS. And I was like, damn, they really are global, huh? It's not just Korea. It's not just Asia that, you know, they have a lot of fans. They have fans all over the world, apparently. So I'm just really excited to get into it and catch up.
Today, everyone knows the name of BTS. They've been invited onto late night talk shows.
So this guy is going to help me understand who BTS is.
They've shattered records, they've sold out stadiums, they've made it onto the big screen. These days, you'd be hard pressed to find someone who didn't know who these guys were, or at least haven't heard one of their songs. And if they—
oh man, that is me. That is me to the T. But let me turn this up a little bit just so that, you know, the volume, I was about to say volume. I think Valium is a medication.
they don't, either they've been living under a rock or they're 100 years old. The success
Yo, why is he coming at my neck right now?
of the Bangtan Boys is worldwide.
Bangtan?
But it wasn't always like this. And it all started with one man. YG. YG wanted to make himself a rap group. In the late 90s, he experimented with this idea with different trainees, eventually choosing 7 members. And while 3 of them eventually left, the remaining 4, Teddy, Danny, Jinhwan, and Baekhyun, debuted in 1998 as One Time. Their first album, titled One for Your Mind, was one of the year's best-selling albums and won several awards, including the Global Disc and SBS Music Awards for Best New Artist and KMTV's Award for Best Hip Hop Artist. The group enjoyed moderate success and released 4 more albums before going on indefinite hiatus in—
So I'm guessing this is the first successful boy band or rap group to come out of South Korea, did he say?
2006, due to the mandatory military service.
Oh yeah.
The year was
South
2010,
Korea.
and the 5-year-old company Big Hit Entertainment had previously signed 2 artists, 88 and 2AM. They had their share of successes, but they were very traditional K-pop groups. Big Hit wanted a fresh, new sound, and upon listening to One Time, CEO Hitman Bang Si-hyuk had decided that that was the sound that he was looking for. And on top of that, the youth needed someone to relate to, and more importantly, look up to. He had decided he would create a hip-hop group.
And there they go.
At 15 years
Kim
old,
Namjoon?
Kim Namjoon auditioned for a certain Big Deal Records, which he completely botched, forgetting the lyrics to the song he was performing. Afterwards, fellow rapper Sleepy recommended that he try auditioning at another label, Big Hit, and even put in a good word for him.
Yo,
to
so
one of the
these guys started off as rappers.
producers there. At age 16, Kim auditioned in front of Bang Si-hyuk himself and instantly impressed him. He was offered a deal with Big Hit on the spot, which Kim accepted and became a trainee, officially choosing a name for himself, Rap Monster, destined to become the leader of the
Rap
newly
Monster.
created group. Now that a fearless leader was chosen, they needed more members.
Oh, he was the baritone. That's the baritone.
Min Young-hee was a 17-year-old living in Daegu, an avid basketball player and rapper. He had been interested in music, especially rap, from a very early age, and despite his parents' disapproval, started performing as a rapper while still in high school. He quickly gained attention as a rapper and producer in the underground hip-hop scene. One day he saw—
See, despite his parents' approval, man, sometimes we just gotta pursue our passions and dreams. I think oftentimes our parents get worried and scared for us that and they also care about us, so they want to make sure that financially we're taken care of. So they often push us into certain fields and industries that reap like high monetary rewards, like go be a doctor, go be an engineer, go be a lawyer. But that doesn't necessarily align with our passion. And I know in certain cultures specifically, that push is even heightened. And I just want you to know that, you know, don't live for other people, including your parents. Live for yourself. Don't give in to that peer pressure. Don't give in to that social pressure. Whatever you want to do with your life, whatever passion you want to pursue, whatever dreams you want to pursue, the money will not come at the very beginning. I guarantee you that, you know, the money will not come at the beginning, but eventually it will, because since it's your passion, you will do it so well, and you will be able to put in so much time and energy into it without getting burned out. You know what I'm saying? So eventually you'll make the money and you'll be able to live a happy and fulfilled life if you pursue your passion. But don't let anybody box you in.
Flyer for a rap competition called Hit It and decided to participate. And although he only placed second, the company hosting the competition, you guessed it, Big Hit, decided to sign him on as a producer.
These names are so corny, I love it.
Bang spoke with him afterwards, convincing him to join a newly created hip-hop group. He told him to just focus on rapping and assured him that he wouldn't need to dance. He was lying. And just like that, the new group had a second member, known as Suga, a combination of the first two syllables of shooting guard, his favorite position in basketball. But they wouldn't stop there. Rappers were nice, but Big Hit actually needed a dancer.
Yo, this is like the Power Rangers, like different people from different backgrounds and different like skill sets coming together all as one. This is crazy.
Jung Ho-seok always loved dancing. He was in the starting lineup of the dance crew Neuron in his hometown, Gwangju. He was good at it too, winning several local championships and even winning a championship at the national level in 2008. When he decided...
Hold on, let me get some water real quick, fill this up, because I took my medication today, and sometimes my throat gets parched and my lips start to dry. So let me get this Vaseline too that I can put on my lips. This is good for you. Well, I don't want to promote them, but
to audition for JYP Entertainment, though, after a few rounds of auditions, he was cut. Fortunately, he didn't give up and went to his second option, a smaller, lesser-known company, Big Hit Entertainment. His dance skills and
that's another good lesson. Don't give up. And sorry, I know I keep pausing it.
Strong understanding of rhythm made him an instant favorite, and he was signed on as J-Hope. Not only that, but they saw potential in him to become a rapper, which at this point he had little experience with. However, J-Hope quickly felt that he wasn't a good fit and decided to leave Big Hit until RM convinced both J-Hope and Big Hit that the group wouldn't be complete without him. He was right.
아니 근데 형 항상 중간고야 종호석 와야 된다고 종호석 안 오면 멤버 믿고 온 거야.
Wow, so you could tell like the loyalty, the connection that they have with one another, the way they value one another, and like their individual contributions to the overall group. Like that is unshakable.
With
the addition of J-Hope, the rap line was complete. Now they needed some singers. Now, just like how
it's
RM...
always good to feel needed too. I bet J-Hope was like, you know, hearing that from them, like, yo, we need you. We can't do this without you. Like, I bet that feels good to hear, because we all want to feel needed.
An amazing rapper with a ton of experience was chosen as the first official member of the rap line. It would only make sense that a legendary singer and dancer would be the perfect first member of the vocal line. Right?
Oh, this is a dude.
But Kim Seok-jin didn't have any sort of experience like that. Believe it or not, one day when he was walking on the streets of his hometown, Anyang, he was approached by a representative of SM Entertainment with an offer to work for the company. In typical Jin fashion, he never followed up with it because he believed it to be a scam. Apparently, Jin was a very good-looking guy because years later, this time as a college student in Seoul, he was once again approached on the street, this time by an executive at Big Hit Entertainment.
I've seen more pictures of him than any of the other members. Like on Twitter.
He didn't sing, he didn't dance. He was at school to become an actor, and he decided to audition to become an actor. Big Hit, however, had different plans for him, and convinced him to become a vocalist for their new group. To do so, he literally learned to dance and sing starting from zero, but thankfully, not without help from other vocalists.
That's so cool.
John Jungkook initially had dreams of becoming a badminton player when he was young, but after seeing G-Dragon perform Heartbreaker on television, it influenced him to want to become a singer instead. Because of this, at only age 14, he decided to audition for the South Korean talent show, Superstar K. he didn't pass auditions. But this was just enough to catch the eye of not one company, not two companies, but 7 different companies. This included JYP, FNC.
Yeah, perseverance. You have to have strong character to be able to persevere through something and fail at it or fall short. Because I don't like the term fail. You only fail when you quit. That's when you complete failure. You fail because you quit. But falling short and not living up to your own expectations, that's not failure. You know, either you live, or either you succeed or you learn.
Woollim, Starship Entertainment, TS, Cube, and of course, Big Hit Entertainment. So why did Jungkook, given the choice of all these bigger companies, decide to go with the relatively smaller company, Big Hit? The answer was simple. Because he thought, and I quote, RM was cool, so I wanted to sign with them. That brings the number of members to 5. The next member of BTS was just as surprised to find Big Hit as Big Hit was to find him, and it almost didn't happen.
Oh, no,
Kim
that's
Tae-young
not
was
my
always
guy.
passionate about music, and it was always his dream to pursue it as a career. However, it was hard, as his family was poor, his parents being humble farmers. His father told him that if he was passionate about music, he should learn an instrument, and he did, spending 3 years practicing with the saxophone. One day, one of his friends decided to audition for Big Hit Entertainment when they were holding auditions in his hometown of Daegu. Tae-young, being a good friend, came with him to keep him company. But when one of the team members in charge of the audition saw Tae-young, he encouraged him to audition as well. With nothing to lose, he did. That day, he was the only one in Daegu to move on to the next round of auditions, and eventually became a trainee for Big Hit Entertainment. They decided to keep him as a surprise member and didn't want to reveal him as one of the members until his debut. In the same vein, Big Hit had him choose something mysterious for his stage name. He decided to go with V for victory. Here seems like a nice round number to start, right? 6 members for a new hip-hop group, 3 rappers and 3 vocalists. It seems like a complete group, but still there was something missing.
Just keeps going.
Someone was missing. Someone that could take this already great group of artists and push it even further to achieve perfection. A powerhouse. Someone so naturally talented that they could stand out in a room full of already talented artists. This project that Big Hit had embarked upon needed a capstone.
Yes, this is him.
Park Jimin was a naturally talented dancer. When he was in middle school, he attended a dance academy and continued to pursue dance at Busan High School of Arts, where he studied contemporary dance and was the top student in the whole modern dance department. Impressed by his raw talent, a teacher encouraged him to audition for Big Hit Entertainment, who were holding auditions in Busan. He was only 16 when he passed the audition and moved to Seoul to become a trainee. He was the final member of the group, and he also had the shortest training period. What's interesting to note is that the group feels very much ragtag because in a sense, with the exception of Jimin, it was. RM and J-Hope only auditioned for Big Hit because they didn't pass their auditions with the first company they chose. And despite their amazing talent, Suga and Jungkook didn't win the competitions they were in, but they signed on to Big Hit after the fact because of their high quality performances. V never even planned on auditioning and just decided to do it on a whim, and they literally just found Jin on the streets. But perhaps it was fate, because this was the group that they chose. And just like that, in 2012, the newly created Bangtanso년dan.
See, and that just goes to show you a lot of this life shit is random, but what's not random is fate, you know? You are meant to be where you are meant to be who you are meant to be. And we all have that greatness that we can tap into, that excellence, but we just can't be afraid of it. We can't be shy of it, you know? If there's something that you love to do, if there's something that you really want to pursue, you can't quit it the first time it doesn't work out, you know? You can't get distracted by other things that you're not passionate about, other things that you don't want to do. You can't, everything else is a distraction. If you know what your passion is, if you know what your purpose is in life, everything else must be treated as a distraction. Now, that's not to say, you know, if you're working a shitty job, don't quit your job ASAP to pursue your passion. Maybe do your job and do the passion on the side until you feel comfortable enough to make that next step. But don't ignore the passion, you know, don't stop doing it. Don't stop visualizing success.
Bulletproof Boy Scouts, or simply BTS, was 7.
저도 아침에 리허설 때 이거 보고 많이 웃었습니다.
They had the group, but they still needed the music. In early 2013, they set out to create some social media presence for themselves before officially debuting, posting song covers on both SoundCloud and YouTube, which you can still go watch today.
Wow.
In May, Big Hit launched a countdown clock on their website in preparation for BTS's debut album, complete with a trailer and a ton of promotional material, including photos for the first time of all the members in the official lineup.
That photographer was good too.
Finally, the big day came. June 12th, 2013, BTS held a press conference and a debut showcase where they performed their 2 singles, No More Dream and We Are Bulletproof Part 2. The same day, the Too Cool for School album, as well as the music video for No More Dream, were released. The very next day, BTS performed the song again on their official debut stage on Mnet's M Countdown. This was the world's first taste of BTS. Commercially, the album didn't do extraordinarily well. The lead single, No More Dream, peaked at 124 in Korea, and the album sold only 24,000 copies during its first year. Bulletproof Part 2
But you see, that's alright, because they were still finding themselves. They were still finding their voice.
Didn't even chart. The first year wasn't all that great for BTS, but despite everything, people saw them. People saw the sparkle in their eyes and their limitless potential. And they were hot, of course. On July 9th, ARMY was established as BTS's official fandom. They made their comeback only 2 months later in September when they released their single, No, along with their EP, part 2 of what would be their school trilogy, Oh, Are You Late 2. In the music video for the single, they made a commentary on the harsh Korean education system, along with their previous themes of hopes and dreams. No peaked at 92 in Korea, but also quickly fell off the charts.
It's revolutionary, man. The things that they're doing, the critiques against the South Korean school system, the other messages that they spread in their music, which I have not heard so far because, again, I'm at the beginning, so I'm looking forward to it.
The album debuted at number 4 on the Gaon Weekly chart and was the 55th best-selling album in South Korea that year. This was enough to secure them the coveted New Artist of the Year award at the Melon Music Awards, the Golden Disc Awards, and the Seoul Music Awards. Part 3 of the School Trilogy was released in February of 2014, the EP, School Love Affair. This time, the lead single was Boy in Love. And the other single being Just One Day. The album, as well as both singles, enjoyed moderate success, with the album topping the Gaon album chart, as well as making its first international appearance at number 3 on the Billboard World Albums chart. The album also marked their first distinctive change in theme, focusing more on school life and young love, as evidenced by their Boy in Love music video. They also held their first fan meetings with a crowd of 3,000 in Seoul. BTS was doing well.
Oh, and another thing too, man, is I forgot what I was gonna say.
Is Until July. This is unfortunately a dark chapter in the lives.
And we'll get to this, but another point that I want to make, man, is that there's no such thing as an overnight success. No such thing. It doesn't exist. That's called luck. When people just hit it big overnight, that's called luck. This greatness takes time, and it takes a lot of like trials and errors, and you could see their progression. It was not like linear. They didn't just go up. There were a lot of ups and downs, but it seems like it's gonna get darker.
Of BTS and ARMY. That's right. American Hustle Life. I'm joking, of course, but American Hustle Life was a reality show put together by Mnet that brought BTS to Los Angeles, where they had the unique opportunity to learn the true ways of hip-hop from the masters. And it was a pretty darn cringy opportunity, but an opportunity nonetheless. Whatever you do, just don't watch the Warren G version of Boy in Love. You've been warned. However, cringe and all, the trip proved fruitful for BTS, making connections, performing their first US concert for free in front of 200 fans, as well as their first appearance at KCON. The next month, in August, BTS released their first full-length studio album, Dark and Wild. The album featured 2 singles, Danger and War of Hormones. The album featured a marked shift in sound with a touch of R&B and electronica. It was met with moderate success. It peaked at number 2 in Korea, selling over 200,000 albums. In October and again in May of the following year, BTS went on their first and second concert tours, known as the Red Bullet Tour, where they visited 13 different countries, including Japan, the Philippines, Australia, the US, Mexico, and many others.
I wonder how much thought goes into their titles. I feel like they're just like, yo, what would sound really cool, especially like based on the point we're at in our career? Red Bullet. Let's name our next album Red Bullet. They put out a lot of work.
Out their first Japanese album in December, Wake Up, featuring many Japanese versions of their songs as well as original tracks Wake Up and The Stars, followed by a Japan tour and a solo concert in Korea. Although Dark and Wild got decent attention, they needed something different. They needed something that would shake things up. They got to work. April 29, 2015 was their comeback. When this album was produced, each member had a hand in writing songs for the album. They again changed their sound, from aggressive hip-hop to youthful, colorful styles. And not only their sound, but their image as well. This can be evidenced by their newest EP, The Most Beautiful Moment in Life. And just by looking at the album cover, they ditched the dark colors and the bulletproof vest symbol that had become so synonymous with BTS, and replaced it with a simple white and pink background overlaid with the title. And then, they dropped the single that would change everything.
What a beautiful thing, man. Human beings' ability to transform and evolve. That's wonderful. I'm so happy for them.
It was sentimental, it was hopeful, it was new. Just by looking at the music video, we can see that BTS has also ditched their punk bad boy image and replaced it with a more real, vulnerable, down-to-earth, and youthful feel. This proved to be the change that BTS needed for mainstream success. Billboard called it one of the greatest K-pop songs of the decade. It charted at number 5 in Korea, and even led them to their first music show win on SBS MTV's The Show. And that wasn't all, they released their second single, Dope, on June 24th, which started off with a poignant line from RM.
어서와. 방탄은 처음이지?
Welcome. Is this your first time with BTS? And you know what? For a lot of people,
it was.
It was. In a way, their first studio album and tour can be seen as their stepping stone between old school BTS and new school. In November, they came back with their follow-up EP, The Most Beautiful Moment in Life, Part 2, the second EP in what would be dubbed the Youth Trilogy, which featured the single Run. The album focused even more on the frivolity, friendship, and carefree attitude that comes with enjoying one's youth, but just like in I Need You, contrasted that with suffering, depression, loneliness, society, and the stark and sometimes dark reality of life. Compare this with the far cry of the No More Dreams music video. It felt real. It was darker, grittier, more humble, more meaningful, and most importantly, RM lost his mohawk. Run also connected narratively with their previous single, I Need You, and another video released in September titled Onstage Prologue established what would come to be known as the BTS universe, or the BU.
The BU.
Which would eventually combine music videos, short films, books, short stories, webtoons, and even a mobile game to create a cohesive story.
Yo, they got a team behind them. You know, they got a, wow, this is great.
I won't go down this rabbit hole because there is a lot to digest, but it's definitely something to look into if you're a hardcore ARMY. The same month, they kicked off their third tour, The Most Beautiful Moment in Life Onstage Tour, where they performed songs from their two recent EPs, Part 1 and Part 2. And Part 2 was a hit, their biggest so far. It topped the Weekly Gaon album and Billboard World Albums charts, and on Billboard, it stayed there for multiple weeks, the first K-pop act to do so. It also appeared on the Billboard 200 albums chart, not world albums, which is reserved for foreign non-English songs, but simply the top 200 albums, peaking at 171. Which is kind of amazing considering that this was back in 2015.
Elvis.
They also received Best World Performer at the 17th Mnet Asian Music Awards. This brings us to Part 3 of the Youth Trilogy, The Most Beautiful Moment in Life, Young Forever, released on May 2nd, 2016, which featured probably my favorite BTS album cover. Young Forever was actually a compilation album of parts 1 and 2, so it was mostly the same songs, but it was notable that it had some new singles, Epilogue, Young Forever, Fire, and Save Me. The latter two performed exceptionally well, with both songs topping the Billboard World Digital Songs chart. This was also the second BTS album to chart on the Billboard 200 at 107. And it topped both the Gaon Weekly and
they're just shattering records
and monthly chart, which earned BTS their first Daesan.
I know this is a silly question, but like, are they as big in Korea as they are in other parts of the world? And also, what's their stance on North Korea and the whole divide?
The 8th Melon Music Awards. They went on to do the second half of their tour, The Most Beautiful Moment in Life on Stage Epilogue, selling out many of their concerts and even selling out KCON in the US where they headlined the event. In September, they dropped their second Japanese album, Youth, featuring Japanese versions of tracks from their previous 3 EPs, which went gold and peaked at number 1 on Japanese charts. And only a month later, in October of 2016, it happened. BTS dropped their second studio album, Wings. It sold over 500,000 copies in its first week. In comparison, The Most Beautiful Moment in Life Part 1, released just the previous year, which topped the Gaon chart, sold about 500,000 in its entire lifetime. Wings was big, but the true showstopper was its lead single, Blood, Sweat, and Tears.
Y'all told me to react to this. Oh, and another thing, y'all, I did not foresee my comments, like my comment section being as fucking bulky as it is. I didn't know that I would get as many views from reacting to BTS. And that is to say, I'm usually good at responding to all the comments that I get on my channel, but it's damn near impossible to to respond to everyone's comments. So I apologize in advance. And I think I'm gonna dedicate tomorrow the whole day to just like getting back to people and responding to your comments and stuff like that. So just sit tight.
Which got them their first all-kill, topping 8 music charts in South Korea. Its music video gained 6 million views in the first 24 hours, which broke the YouTube record for the highest number of views of a K-pop group music video within 24 hours. The album hit number 26 on the Billboard 200, the highest ever charting K-pop album on Billboard. They ended up selling 1.5 million copies in South Korea in 2016 alone, and it netted them the Artist of the Year award at the Eminent Asian Music Awards that same year, the first non-Big Three artist ever to receive that award.
수상자는 방탄소년단.
After Blood, Sweat, and Tears, they were on a roll. BTS was unstoppable. In February of 2017, they released the instant hit Spring Day, which, quoting a Korean reviewer, embodied nostalgia and sorrow and opened a new chapter in BTS's aesthetics and lyricism, and attracted fans across generational boundaries. Which, by the way, is still on Korean charts after nearly 4 years, and the same day I'm writing this, it ranked number 53 on Melon. It won Song of the Year at the 9th Melon Music Awards. After the release of Spring Day, they went on yet another tour, the 2017 BTS Live Trilogy, Episode 3, the Wings Tour. The tickets sold out within minutes, including in the United States, the first K-pop artist to do so, and went on to win Best Social Artist at the Billboard Music Awards. The first for a Korean artist, but
That's
they would go on to
amazing.
win this award 4 years in a row. The next year was a period of massive growth for both the group's popularity as well as their style. They released the Love Yourself series, starting with Love Yourself Her in September of 2017, Love Yourself Tear in May of 2018, and Love Yourself Answer in August of 2018. 3 albums that gave us some of the most classic BTS songs that we know and love today, such as Mic Drop, Fake Love, Euphoria,
Y'all told me to react to that too, Fake Love.
Idol, and of course, all 3 albums were commercial
Oh, he's wearing a Laney jersey. I wrestled someone from that high school before. That's Michael Jordan's old high school, Laney. I was there before.
All 3 albums were commercial successes, Her being their first album to top 2 million album sales, but Tear and Answer also did equally well. These 3 albums, as well as their Japanese album, Face Yourself, proved that they weren't done yet, not even close. During this time, they shattered countless records. Their singles went platinum, they topped charts, they won awards, and not only did they break YouTube records, but they broke records that they themselves set again and again and again. This is the period where BTS really started enjoying global recognition, working with huge Western artists such as Nicki Minaj, Designer, and Steve Aoki. It wasn't their first time having international features on their songs, but it was definitely the biggest. And even though they were already, without a doubt, the biggest act to ever come out of South Korea, they had their eyes set even higher. They went on tour once again
You
for
know,
the
I want to see them work with Drake. I want to hear
Love
them work
Yourself
with
World
Drake.
Tour. During this tour, they collaborated with Steve Aoki to
He's
make the
funny,
song
that guy.
Wasted on Me.
Ooh, she's cute.
Notable for being their first all-English feature, and it also served as a jumping-off point for BTS to gain a following of English speakers. Not that they were Map of the Soul Persona. First things first, you can't mention Map of the Soul Persona without mentioning Boy With Love. It was simple math. What do you get when you cross the singer of one of the best charting songs of all time that went platinum 59 times
that?
in 13 different countries with, without a question, the most globally dominant pop group of all time? Well, you get this. nothing less than an instant hit. Number 8 on Billboard Hot 100, platinum in the US, 21 music show wins, number 1 on iTunes in 67 different countries, the most liked and the most viewed YouTube video in the first 24 hours, the fastest video to reach 100 million views, a current view count of over 1 billion views, 7 boys, 1 girl, and 7 different
Who's that girl?
They were the talk of the town, invited to talk show after talk show after talk show.
Wow.
The second single on the album was Make It Right. Written by Ed Sheeran himself, including a version featuring Loud. The album debuted at number 1 on Gaon and sold 3.2 million copies its first month, and that's only in Korea. It became the best-selling album in South Korea ever. It swept every major Korean music show, winning Album of the Year in each one of them. They followed up this legendary EP with the Love Yourself, Speak Yourself World Tour, where they sold out both the Rose Bowl and the Wembley Stadium in only an hour, the only non-English speaking act to do so. They even performed as a solo act in Saudi Arabia, the first foreign act to do that. The last stop of their tour was at South Korea's largest venue, the Seoul Olympic Stadium. They ended up grossing $200 million. During this time, they also created a visual novel style game for mobile devices called BTS World, where the player can interact with the members. This also came with an original soundtrack with tracks unique to the game featuring Western artists. Zara Larsson, Charlie XCX, and Juice WRLD for the tracks A Brand New Day, Dream Glow, and All Night respectively. In December of 2019, the group swept the grand prizes for both the Melon and Mnet Music Award shows, the first artist to do that. Map of the Soul persona was legendary, truly a marvel in modern music. So, how could BTS follow up the best-selling album in South Korean history, you may ask? Easy. Make an even better-selling album. And that's what they did with Map of the Soul 7. The album was released on February 21st of 2020, featuring the singles Black Swan and On.
Oh, y'all told me to react to Black Swan too.
And sold over 4.1 million albums in just the first week, and the first Korean album to be certified as quadruple million on the Gaon Music Chart. It debuted at number 1 on music charts all over the world, including the US, Korea, the UK, Japan, and much of Europe. It's not an exaggeration to say that this album left a permanent mark on the world, launching BTS into legendary status and becoming the best-selling artist in South Korean history. BTS had scheduled a Map of the Soul tour for April of that year, which would have undoubtedly outsold their record-breaking tour only a year prior, but unfortunately the COVID pandemic caused the entire tour to be postponed, including the show at the Rose Bowl, which I was supposed to attend. But that didn't stop BTS, who performed virtual concerts, spoke at the Dear Class of 2020 graduation event, and released the Japanese version of their recent album with an original Japanese single, Stay Gold. Stay Gold! And to top it all off, this was only June. At this point, it was clear that BTS had already dominated their home turf. And they had
and like that bounce back, that resilience, you know, being able to go through what they went through with the pandemic. I can't say it, like YouTube flags certain words because of conspiracy theorists. But being able to go through like this whole ordeal and bounce back from it and still grow their humongous audience, like it's admirable. And also, if you notice that I'm like moving around and adjusting myself, it's because last week, or a couple weeks ago rather, I like injured my shoulder. So I went to the doctor, and the doctor was like, hey, the reason why your shoulder is injured is because you live on an uneven surface. Like I live on a really sloped surface at a weird angle. So sometimes it's painful for me to stand up and sit down. And so, you know, sitting through a 30-minute reaction such as this one, as you can imagine, is taking a toll on me. But don't feel bad for me because, you know, I'm on ibuprofen. I am going I'm going to move from this apartment next month, so I'm very excited. I just have to go to physical therapy, but I just want to give y'all some context in case you're like, why does he keep like adjusting himself? And yeah,
the music charts all over the world. This time their sight was set for the very top. Remember that scene in The Social Network where Mark and Sean talk about how they don't want $1 million, they want $1 billion, how they're not interested in catching 14 trout, but they'd rather catch an 800-pound marlin? Well, that's what they set their sights on. The marlin, the biggest music industry in the world, the United States. And at the top of that music industry, #1 on Billboard Hot 100. This small group from a company that virtually no one had heard about 8 years ago planned to take on Goliath himself and dominate the American industry on their home turf. And all they had to do was speak English. August 21st. Enter Dynamite. Their first and only English single so far. Simultaneously performed better than anyone had expected, but at the same time is exactly what we as an audience had come to expect from the legendary boy band themselves. And they did it. They reached #1 on the US Billboard Hot 100, the Global 200, and the Global Excluding US chart. And they made sure that if you hadn't heard of them before, you definitely have now. And if that wasn't already the biggest flex, on October 2nd, they came out with Savage Love BTS Remix with Jason Derulo, getting #1 on the Billboard Hot 100 again, less than 2 months after already getting it #1 with Dynamite. And on the Global 200, where they actually replaced themselves at #1, the first artist to do so ever. So what makes BTS so special? How did they achieve all this? K-pop is a genre that spans for at least 30 years, and there have been hundreds of boy groups and hundreds of girl groups. What did BTS do to rise above all of them and break through to markets never before seen? Historically, the boy band industry has been dominated by white English-speaking bands. And the fact that BTS has not only held their own, but blew any sign of competition out of the water on a global scale can be attributed to nothing less than their talent, hard work, and a bit of a 1 in a million miracle. They did it through their own blood, sweat, and tears, so to speak. Around the world, we see that boy bands have pretty much fallen into obscurity.
I don't know if it was a miracle, man. I do think it was fate. I think it was meant to happen. I think when you don't quit, when you find something you're good at, you find something you have the potential to grow at, and you love to do it, it's fate. It's fate, and you stick with it, it's gotta happen, and it's gotta turn into something special.
BTS is thriving. And though I've stated this all before, it's worth saying again, in contrast to other bands who would sing about romantic relationships with girls and what some would call predictable bubblegum pop tunes, BTS is continuously pushing the envelope and changing their styles. According to an article by Vulture.com, they describe this style as much less a successor of the Backstreet Boys and more of the successors of Michael Jackson, whose choreography and charisma were unprecedented. While of course there's a lot of love for the angelic vocals of BTS, rap has also played a very important part in creating their own style. In stark contrast to the typical boy band where every member sings, it's so refreshing when you're in the middle of a song and you hear RM's raw rapping skills, J-Hope's energy, or Suga's soul put into every single line. Interestingly enough, at the first glance it seems that the success of BTS was miraculous, despite not being part of the Big Three, but it can also be argued that their success was because of their separation from the Big Three. Their label, Big Hit Entertainment, whose founder emphasizes artistic freedom more than anything else, allowed them to make their own sound. And going back to BTS universe, it's not often that a K-pop group does something special with each of their songs and albums, utilizing strong storytelling that can go beyond simply the song itself, but rather interconnected with other songs and even other albums to create one large overarching story. And not only do they all have their own expertise in performance, but also each of them have had the experience of writing and producing their own music, and they're not afraid to let their style evolve over time. BTS during their debut is such a far cry from Wings era BTS and current day BTS. They also chose to tackle more adult issues instead of simply love and girls. While they definitely didn't have a shortage of those, they also cover other very important issues such as mental health, regret, following your dreams, hard work, self-love, and many, many, many others. Add that to the fact that as fans, we can feel the authenticity of the members themselves. They seem approachable. BTS seems like there's a place for every type of fan. And in this fast-paced world where things change at unthinkable speeds, BTS has stayed grounded and faithful to who they were and who they are. Those kids we saw on American Hustle Life, along with their dreams and passions, are the same men who stand before us today. And while some artists like to keep their personal lives private, BTS gives us a look at their personal lives through their vlogs, which allows us to become more connected to them than ever before.
I love it.
What is truly amazing is that, with the exception of just one single, they're doing this all while singing in their native tongue, Korean. Their music holds so much power that it literally breaks through the barriers of language. And no, they're not done yet.
Amazing.
Today, November 20th, they're releasing their 5th studio album, B. Their singles on the album, Dynamite and Life Goes On. And chances are, life will go on for BTS. And chances are they'll continue to break even more records. They've shown that they're capable of dominating music charts across the world and even reaching across the Pacific Ocean and conquering the music industry in the United States. What's next for them? Mars? In any case, they've only started in 2013 and BTS is as strong as it's ever been. As far as we know, they will only continue to light it up like a dynamite.
Oh, that's wonderful. Good on this guy for making this little documentary. I really appreciate it, and subscribe to him. Let me see what his channel is called. What is his channel called? The Asian Theory. Subscribe to him. But if y'all enjoyed this reaction video, please subscribe to me. Please comment, like, and subscribe. And tell me, at what moment, was there a moment where you were like, all right, I'm a BTS fan? Like, was there one song, was there one period in life you were going through where, like, you know, you needed to hear what they had to say and you were like, yeah, I'm a fan? Yeah, just let me know in the comments. I will see y'all next time. Peace.